So let's add a few pieces here to say the top, maybe, let me press Control Space here. Let's add this piece here and this piece. I mean, there's a lot to these, but we're going to make them very simple and put them on here since it'll be pretty small compared to the rest of the vehicle. And also, I think what we should do is maybe add this brace here, and we'll see if there's any other things. Ultimately, we're going to have to do this part over here, but for now, let's just work on the pieces on the top. So for this piece right here, I'll just work on it down here at the center of the grid. Let's create a cube, and let's maybe I'll just drag in the size field and bring that down like that. Let's scale in the Z to make this kind of flat panel here. Scale in the X with S and X, scale in the Y, S and Y. And then maybe let's insert some edge loops to extrude these two pieces up. So let's press Control R and scroll the mouse wheel and add these two, S and X, and scale them out a bit. And then let's also add two more here, like this. Maybe I'll scale these out a bit with S and Y. And then I could just select this face and hit E and extrude up. Like that. Then we should probably apply the scale, grab these edges here, and here, and press Control B, and we'll bevel these, add a couple of edges there. There we go. And maybe on the edges too. Let's just go ahead and do that while we're here. It's probably a detail that no one will ever see, but let's go ahead and do it and see what we think. All right, so there's that. Let's go ahead and take away the faces on the bottom since no one's ever going to see those. I'll just use the circle select tool with the C key and click and drag. And then get rid of those. We should probably just put a cylinder through here, I think. Let's do that. Shift A, mesh, cylinder. Let's take it down to 12 sides. Maybe 0.1 and 0.2 so we can work with it here. I'll press RY90 to turn it. Let's go to the side view and let's scale it down and kind of put it in place here. How about right here like this? Let's try this. And then we'll scale out in the X. And there we go. So just a very basic form there just to get a piece on top there that looks kind of like that. There's more to it here that's flipped up. I don't think we need that. So I'll take this and join them together with Control J. And then let's go ahead and smooth it. Turn on Auto Smooth. We may be able to drag up a bit. There we go. All right. So let's take it up and put it on the gun. Should go somewhere back in here, right? And scale it down a bit. And maybe let's just drag it down to right about there. All right. So there's a piece there. What about this over here? Let's do the same thing with this. Let's create this down on the center of the grid, and then we'll move it up and put it in place. So for this, let's begin with a cylinder. And we've got 12 sides. We don't need a cap fill, so I'll choose nothing. I'll turn it around the X, RX90. And let's, I guess we should delete faces down here. Let's select these faces in here, like this, and let's delete those. And then we can select these edges here and maybe extrude them straight down because it looks like they go straight down from that curve. So I'll hit E and Z and pull down like that. All right. Let's also give it a solidify modifier. I'll press Control A and apply the scale. And then we'll give it a solidify right there, even thickness. And that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and apply that. And then what we can do is get rid of these faces here because we can create a new cube here. Maybe click and drag and bring that down quite a bit. And let's scale in the Z and kind of just create this little base that sits right there on the gun itself. Right, so we just have that very simple piece. I'll select the two and press Control J and merge those together. And let's also grab this one face down here and delete it. All right, let's take that up. Oh, let me smooth it. Let's do that. And then we could go ahead and let's spin around here and let's take this up and put it on top of here. And let's scale it down and put it right up here. What else should we do? Well, we could maybe add a couple of edge loops in here and extrude these out along the sides. Let's try that. I'm just looking for very simple ways to kind of add a little bit of detail to this. Maybe we could select these two faces now and press ESX and scale out with that extrusion in the X-axis. There we go. And maybe we could do the same thing down here. Let's try that. So if I added an edge loop right down here, and maybe another one right, I don't know, right in here, let's say, we could maybe grab these two, press ESX, and scale out just a bit like that. There we go. All right, and it also looks like it's got an extrusion here. You can see that kind of piece coming out there. I don't want to do that whole thing, but we can at least add a couple of edges here and move that in and just grab these faces here and extrude those out as well, kind of like that. Then what we should do is maybe create this piece right here that's going to fit on the bottom there, that's going to connect this pipe or this pole to the gun itself. So let's work on that. I think all we really need to do is take this face right here and move the cursor to it. And then let's create a cylinder. We've got 12 sides here. Let's give it a cap fill of an Ingon. Let's scale it down and let's move it up and scale it in the Z-axis. So it's something like this. It's pretty thin. So we want something like that. And then what we should do is grab this face right here and inset it. And before I do that, let's go ahead and apply the scale. And then press I and bring these in just a bit so that we can have something to extrude up here. And by that I mean this face and this face, and this face and this face here. So if we hit E and extrude those up, we've got something like this, and then we could grab this edge and kind of move that up just a little bit like that. There we go. All right. So once we put that in place, how big does that need to be? Let's maybe scale it out a little bit like that. Yeah, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and smooth it and see how it looks. All right. And then what let's do is add a bolt to that. We need a bolt right here. So what if we just once again grabbed one of our bolts here? Let's tab into edit mode and select this one here. Duplicate it. Let's move it out and split it out with the P key. Now we can move the origin to the geometry. Let's turn it. Let's press RZ and I'll hold the control key and turn it 90 degrees there. And then we can hit the G key and move it up to here. Now, does it need to be that big? I guess it's okay like that, I guess. And I'll move this in about like that. Maybe make it a little bit narrower by scaling in the X. And then let's put it on the other side. I'll duplicate it, Shift-D, Enter. Then I'll press Control-M and hit the X key to mirror in the X-axis and hit Enter. And then let's just bring it over to the other side. And there it is. And then we can move it in like that. All right. So now let's go ahead and add these to this object, Control J, and there we go. Yeah, and we're looking pretty good here. Let's tab into edit mode on this, and let's move this up into this piece like that. And then I guess we could delete that in-gone face up at the top there. All right, so we're getting there. Once again, just trying to get the pieces in place. These really don't have to be highly detailed. They just need to be in place because, as I said, they're going to be really small in the overall vehicle and the overall project. Let's go ahead and bring everything back with Alt-H just to see how we're doing. Yeah, see, I think those are going to kind of work together with everything else. Yeah, so in the next video, what let's do is work on this ammo box here, and maybe we'll add a handle right here. So that's coming up next.